Fantasy books that in my opinion are required reading. First, I'll give an improvised synopsis on each one, and then I'll go into a quick explanation as to why I think they are required reading. Now, some of these I'm more, well, they're all subjective, but some of these I'm more objective feeling. I have more objective subjectivity than others. First off, probably one of the most important ones on this list, if not the most important one. I'm starting off really strong. We have Babel by R.F. Kuang. This book's about a young Chinese boy who was taken when he was just a wee babe, a wee lad, out of China and raised in Britain to be British, to attend Oxford and use his knowledge of the Chinese language in order to help produce more technology, I guess, for the business owners and the country itself. And he does that through the magic system, which you will learn about when you read this book. And our cast involves a whole bunch of friends who have very similar stories, except for maybe a few of them, where they're all taken from different areas of the world. They all speak different languages, and the speaking different language part is very, very crucial to them being useful. And so a big criticism in this book and a very big topic is colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism. R.F. Kuang heavily characterizes these things and what the prices are and what the goal is brought about by them. You know, we get very, very vivid images and stories of how the British, you know, basically drugged China with a shit ton of opium. And, you know, they basically did it for profit, right? The British turned China into opium addicts so they could sell opium to them. You know, this book also talks a lot about resistance and the necessity of violence when it comes to fighting back against these horrible systems and structures, fighting back against governments that support all the atrocities that are being done via colonialism, imperialism, and capitalism. And it begs the question, you know, what is a terrorist? Sometimes, as we see in this book, our heroes will be falsely labeled as such while trying to oppose the injustices that are being done to people like them and people also at the same time very different from them. And so I think this book is very valuable and brings a lot of different perspectives that I think a lot of people don't have. And there's definitely something you can take away from it with regards to pretty much any situation in the world right now or any economic situation in the world. Definitely check it out. This is a god tier book that should be required in all schools. The next book we have here is Blood Over Brighthaven, and this is for similar political and economic reasons as the other one. And the way that its criticisms of very similar topics are done is also through the magic system, I guess. The magic system is like the revealing tool to show you how people are being taken advantage of. This is a story about two more or less groups of people. They are the Tyrannish and the Quen. This takes place in a domed city called Tyran, and we follow our main character, Siona, one of the very first female high mages to ever exist, really. The Quen, on the other hand, are basically an enslaved population, more or less. They lived outside of the domed city, but all of a sudden this thing called blight started popping off, appearing, showing up, and just dwindling them down, killing so many of them. So a lot of the Quen ran away and fled into the domed city of Tyran. They are unfortunately viewed as not even second-class citizens. I mean, I guess second-class citizens, but they're viewed as like animals, more or less. They do all the terrible jobs, all the horrible work. They are, for all intents and purposes, slaves. The Tyrannish are the normal people here. They obviously look down upon the Quen, and they enjoy very many luxuries, a decent evolution of technology for a fantasy novel, or to say that the technology is decently advanced. But as Siona ascends the ranks of the mage, or has ascended the ranks of the mages, she becomes privy to a lot of the information about how the mages power all the devices with their magic and what the magic is and what it means for the Tyrannish and what it means for the people of the Quen. As you can guess, this also has a lot to deal with colonization and colonialism, stealing resources and racism and misogyny. Siona's the only female mage, so she deals with a lot of racism from her fellows. This should also be required in schools, in my opinion. At the very least, these two books, Babel and Blood Over Brighthaven. Definitely check this out. This is a god tier book. This talks about things that very much need to be talked about, especially the way that, you know, different oil companies like ExxonMobil, the way these companies like abuse the shit out of Africa. You need to read it. It doesn't mention that specifically, but you can make the connection. Now, moving away from economics and politics and stuff like that, I want to talk about character work. Assassin's Apprentice by Robin Hobb, or really just the entire realm of the Elderlings series in general. That is a universe that has like 4 or 5 series in it. This is book 1 in the Farseer trilogy. This follows a bastard son of a prince who is then taken to the castle and brought up by his grandfather, but raised by his father's stableman. He's then chosen to be trained as an assassin for the king. The biggest reason why I say this is a required reading is for our main character, Fitz. This dude is as flawed as they come. This dude makes so many mistakes. He fricks up so much, but at the same time, you can't help but love him. You'll sit there and you'll read him do something and you'll just want to face palm yourself so hard, but at the same time, all you want is the best for him. And I think it's one of the best main character work I've ever seen ever in my entire life. This is the perfect character, and not because he has no flaws, but because he does have flaws, and that's what makes him perfect. This, in my opinion, is required reading purely because of the level of character work that has gone into Fitz. I've never seen a main character this flawed, this beautiful, and this imperfect in such a perfect way ever in my life. I could think of some that come close, like Rin from the Poppy War, I think. And then there's some that are amazing, but don't come close to the layers of Fitz, like Kaladin Stormblast from the Stormlight Archive. Some of the best character work you'll ever see in your entire life. Next is the First Law trilogy. Book 1 is The Blade itself. I'm holding up Red Country, which is book 3 in a trilogy of standalones that takes place after the First Law trilogy. And then you finish these, then you go on to the next trilogy. I'm only holding this because the First Law trilogy is being lent out right now, so that's why. Again, I want to go back to character work. Robin Hobb and Joe Abercrombie are the masters of characters. 100%. This is a fact. This is not a subjective opinion. Dare I say it. In fact, The Blade itself is all character work. Almost all character work. There is an external plot, and it is very, very slow moving, but the entire first book, you are spending it with the characters, learning about them, learning who they are, and it is so beautiful. Joe Abercrombie is a master of morally gray characters, of very complex characters who are neither good nor bad. It's hard to explain what that one's about, but The Blade itself follows 3 main points of view. One of them is an ex-soldier who is now an inquisitor. He is crippled. He damaged every part of his body. His left half basically doesn't work. He like shits himself at night because he just doesn't have any control of his body. He is in excruciating pain every day. He looks extremely gross. He walks with a cane, and you get to see him perform his work as an inquisitor. The politics he gets wrapped up in, his devious, excruciating, disgusting personality, but you can't help but love him. He's one of my favorite characters in all of fiction. I love him so much. Danglocta. Our next POV is an ex-mercenary. His name is Logan Ninefingers. As you can guess, he only has 9 fingers. He was once known, or probably still is known, as the most ferocious warrior in all of the North. They called him the Bloody Nine. He is a living weapon. He is that deadly. But as we follow him in the First Law trilogy, it seems to us that he doesn't want to be that anymore. He wants to turn over a new leaf and be a new man. And we follow him as he's picked up by this mage to help him on a journey, and maybe he can turn into the man he wants to be along the way. Our final POV is a spoiled brat of a captain. His name is Jazal Dan Luthar. This dude is a spoiled brat with his head up his ass. He knows nothing of the world. Throughout the first book, we kind of just follow him as he gets himself into trouble and knows not what he does. Clearly, everybody else has plans for him, but this dude has no idea what's happening. He's a scumbag, one of the lowest of the low, and it's impressive how Joe Abercrombie makes me hate him so much. Like I said, Joe Abercrombie is a master at morally gray. He's a master at making you hate people that you should hate, a master at making you love people you should hate, a master at making you love people you should love, and his humor is hilarious. But if you want some of the best character work you will ever see in your entire life, read Joe Abercrombie. The First Law trilogy, that you can go on to the next set of 3 standalones, that you can go on to the next trilogy. Next, we have the Stormlight Archive, and there's a lot of things that I want to say about this. I think that this is a masterclass in world building, a masterclass in magic systems, hard magic systems specifically, a masterclass in character work. Granted, I think it's not as good as Robin Hobb and Joe Abercrombie, but they're fantastic nonetheless. And also a masterclass in having therapy in a book. So at the end of the day, what do I want to say? Brandon does such a good job at interweaving all of those aspects that I just talked about. I know I've said I was supposed to give a synopsis first, but I keep forgetting to do that. There is just so much here. There is just so much here. I don't even know what to talk about here, but I'll get to that. Everything is woven together so well that the world building affects the mental health. Mental health affects the world building. They affect the magic systems. Magic systems affect the character growth. It's all interconnected, and it's top tier. It is top tier. This book is 1,000 pages long, and it's the shortest one, but it's 1,000 pages for a reason. And you're going to be reading it and you're going to catch up to the series and you're going to wish you had. Very, very quick synopsis. It follows a slave who thinks he has nothing to live for anymore, a scholar who is trying to get taken on as the ward of one of the most famous scholars in the world, and then a prince who is uncle to the king, and he finds that he might be losing his mind. But is he actually? Are the things that he's seeing in his visions real or not? Definitely check it out, guys. This is such a god tier book. You will read this once and it will change your life forever, especially if you have mental health issues. That is probably my biggest reason for recommending this outside of everything else. I love everything else, don't get me wrong, it's all god tier level, but if you are struggling with depression, I always say check out this book. This book will help you, I hope. Now our next two are in their own categories, I think, quite different from the reasons I'm giving for all the ones up till now. First, we have The Children of Time by Adrian Tchaikovsky. Quick synopsis about this one. One day, far, far in the future, humanity decides, or some parts of humanity decide they want to create sentient life for themselves. So they terraform a planet, they head to it in a space station, they inject monkeys with a super virus that'll allow them to evolve more rapidly and be more smarter as the generations go on. As they're about to launch the monkeys onto the planet, shit goes bad. There's a faction of humans that are like, oh, we'll never let any other species be superior to us. So they blow the whole thing up. So before the virus can get injected into the monkeys, it falls and crash lands onto the planet, infecting some spiders. So we follow these spiders as the generations go on, and each generation becomes smarter and smarter and smarter. And the reason why I recommend this to you is because it's a masterclass at writing non-human perspectives. There is a human plot line, but honestly, that's not the reason why I'm recommending it to you. I'm recommending it because the spiders, the world building, non-human POVs, I've never seen anything like it. And if you want something truly, 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 truly unique, I'm not talking like Franz Kafka. He was a human, now he's a roach. No, I mean spider, always been a spider, spider politics, spider abilities, spider communication, spider thought process. And you get to watch them evolve and evolve and evolve, and obviously have like human level sentience and on and on and on, and what that means for their civilization. It's one of the craziest things I've ever read in my entire life. You guys have to read it. God tier level book. Now finally, I want to talk to you about The Grace of Kings by Ken Liu. This is book 1 of the Dandelion Dynasty. Now long story short, this book specifically, because the rest of the series after this one is pretty different. This series is about a revolution from an empire, a tyrannical empire. There are two different factions that oppose this. One is our main character Kunigaru and his homies. One is a character called Mata Zindu, and it is a clash between them over their ideals and how the world should be governed and how people should be governed. It's about them, and obviously it's about them overthrowing the empire as well. And then the next few books take place a generation later and follows a different cast of characters throughout the next 3 books. This is a prologue. But what I'm here to talk about to you guys is this is god tier at one specific thing: technological innovation and engineering. Many of these books have magic, but the magic of the Dandelion Dynasty is technology. It's of engineers. It is of ever evolving philosophy. It is of science. I have never ever in my life read a book that used technology in this way. Like I said, the technology is basically the magic of this civilization. We get to watch as they invent new things, as they come to new experiences, as they discover new things, not just inventions, but new ways of thinking as well. It is phenomenal, and how they navigate the politics and navigate flying monsters. It's so fascinating watching a civilization that is obviously less technologically advanced to ours come up with things that we already know, but in their own way. It is fascinating. It's one of the greatest things I've ever read. The first book, it was okay. It wasn't my favorite, but I was truly hooked in the series in book 2 and 3. I'm about to start book 4 here soon and finish it off. If you are any sort of nerd, if you find the idea of dealing with supernatural things through technological evolution interesting, this right here. It might read kind of weird. It reads halfway between like a textbook and a Bible. At least the first one does. The next 3, not as much, or the next 2 at least, not as much. I haven't read the 4th one, like I said, but I think it's absolutely worth it. It's so good. I freaking love these so much. But I'm gonna warn you, there is a chance that it may not sit the best with you. This series is 100% not for everybody, but I promise that it is for me. And honestly, I'm gonna say it, I recommend you give the first 2 books a try, and if you still don't like it after book 2, you can go ahead and drop it. Definitely check it out, guys. And that's it for my required reading list. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you hit like, subscribe, follow me on my socials, and my wishlist and sponsor are in the description, and I'll see you next time.